On the 26th of March, 2026, Omega set a watch down on a table in Biel, Switzerland, and quietly detonated a rule that had governed Swiss watchmaking for 50 years. The watch has no seconds hand. It is still, officially, one of the most rigorously certified mechanical watches ever built. That is not supposed to be possible. For half a century, the trade held one thing to be self-evident. You cannot certify what you cannot watch ticking. So, Omega stopped watching. It started listening. And the watch, honestly, is the least interesting part of this story. What Omega actually unveiled that morning was a new machine for measuring time, built by Omega, owned by Omega, and open to every rival Omega has. It landed at the precise moment the old authority looked most exposed. Within weeks, the institution that had certified Swiss precision since 1973 was scrambling to rewrite its own rulebook. That is not a product launch, that is a coup. Start with the word chronometer, because in Switzerland, it is not marketing. It is a legal claim. Since 1973, an organization called the Contrôle officiel suisse des chronomètres has been the gatekeeper. Movements go into its laboratories for 15 days, tested in 5 positions and 3 temperatures, and they must hold an average daily rate between -4 and +6 seconds. Pass, and you may print the word on your dial. Fail, and you may not. COSC has certified more than 57 million movements. That is the foundation the entire Swiss precision story rests on. Omega went further in 2015. Working with METAS, the Swiss Federal Metrology Institute, it built the master chronometer standard. 0 to +5 seconds a day, cased watches rather than bare movements, and resistance to magnetic fields of 15,000 Gauss. Roughly twice as precise as the industry floor and vastly tougher on magnetism. It became the strictest openly published standard in watchmaking. Tudor adopted it, Rolex never did, but every one of these tests shared a hidden dependency. To measure rate, a camera photographed the seconds hand. No seconds hand, no measurement, no certificate. Think about what that quietly excluded. The elegant two-hand dress watch, the purest object in horology, could never legally call itself a chronometer, no matter how well it ran. An entire category was locked out of precision by a limitation in the measuring equipment, not in the watches. Until now, precision certification has required a seconds hand, says Omega Chief Executive Reinald Aeschlimann. That requirement, he says, is now obsolete. Here is how they killed it. Inside the Laboratoire de Precision, movements go into sealed black boxes, 10 at a time. Each box carries its own quartz reference clock, calibrated against a rubidium atomic clock before every run. Inside are microphones. The box does not look at the watch. It listens to it, capturing every tick, every talk, every beat of the escapement, alongside sensors reading temperature, pressure, and position. 5,000 timekeeping measurements a day. 3,000 environmental readings. 120,000 data points per movement across the 15-day test. Traditional certification takes 1 reading a day. Sit with that comparison. Because it is the whole argument. 1 measurement a day against 5,000. The old method tells you whether a watch passed. The new one tells you exactly when it drifted, at what temperature, in which position, and why. To date, the laboratory has logged more than 24 billion data points, implying somewhere around 200,000 movements already tested. More precision data than every chronometer laboratory in history has gathered, combined. None of this came from nowhere. Walk back to 1948. Omega turns 100 years old and releases the Centenary, its first self-winding wristwatch certified as a chronometer, roughly 6,000 pieces. 4 years later, it becomes the Constellation, and for decades, that name meant one thing: a watch that had been to an observatory and come back with paperwork. The 2026 collection is called Observatory for exactly that reason. Omega is not borrowing its past, it is entering it as evidence. The laboratory itself opened in 2024 in Villeret and Biel, and this is where it gets politically delicate. It was built by Omega, funded by Swatch Group, and it certifies Omega's own watches. Yet it is accredited by the Swiss Accreditation Service, the only body in Switzerland that can grant that status, and accreditation carries conditions. It must accept outside customers. Its board must include an independent director. That seat belongs to Dr. Gaetano Miletti of the University of Neuchâtel, 15 years at the Neuchâtel Observatory, and a member of the international committee that helps define the second itself. Day to day, it is run by Alexandre Hunzinger, an engineer who joined Omega in 2015 to build the master chronometer process. 46 people work there. COSC certifies millions of movements a year with 164. That ratio tells you this is not a boutique operation dressed up for the press. It is a laboratory built with room to take business, and Eschliman has said openly that it will compete on cost. The incumbent noticed. In February 2026, 1 month before the Constellation Observatory appeared, COSC announced the first meaningful upgrade to its standard in half a century. Excellence chronometer. Tolerances tightened to -2 plus 4 seconds a day. Magnetic testing added. Power reserve verified. Cased watches strapped to a robot that simulates a human wrist for 24 hours. Pilot testing in March, full deployment in October. After 50 years of stability, COSC moved within weeks of Omega's laboratory going live. Draw your own conclusion about the sequence. And even then, critics called it timid. The new magnetic threshold is 200 Gauss. Omega's master chronometer standard tests to 15,000. COSC cannot push much harder without failing a large slice of the industry that buys its movements from outside suppliers. That is the trap the incumbent is in. Raise the bar high enough to matter, and you lock out your own customers. Quick pause before the second half, because this next part is where it gets contentious. If you are finding this useful, hit subscribe and tap the bell. It genuinely helps. Now, the case against. Plenty of serious people are not applauding. Some called a chronometer without a seconds hand a gimmick, a showroom for a testing process rather than a watch anybody asked for. Others raised a sharper objection. For 50 years, Omega sent its movements to an outside body. Now it grades its own homework in a building it owns. Accreditation and an independent director are real safeguards. They are not the same thing as distance. Then there is the money. Steel versions start around $10,900. The gold and platinum gold pieces climb toward $59,000. Watch writers noted that the gold constellation now sits alongside a Patek Philippe Calatrava and asked the obvious question. Even sympathetic reviewers, holding the watch in their hands, wrote that the criticism was largely fair and that they wanted one anyway. All of this is happening in a brutal market. Swiss watch exports were worth roughly 26 billion francs in 2024, with the United States the single largest destination. Then came tariffs. A punitive 39% rate in August 2025, a negotiated 15% by November, and prices in America that settled 5 to 10% above where they sat in late 2024. Exports fell for 4 straight months. In a market like that, a brand needs a reason to charge more than the watch sitting beside it. Precision, certified in a laboratory you built yourself, is a very good reason. And Omega matters more than most people realize. By analyst estimates, it has accounted for around a third of Swatch Group's sales and close to 60% of its operating profit. When Omega moves, the whole group moves with it. This was never only about 9 dress watches. So what happens next? And this is the genuinely open question. The laboratory is open to every brand in Switzerland. The obvious problem is that using it means sending your most sensitive movement data into a building your largest competitor built. Rolex will not. Seiko will not. But smaller houses without their own metrology departments now have a real alternative. And what they get back is not simply a pass or a fail. It is a development tool. There is a deeper shift underneath all of it. For most of the last decade, luxury watch culture has drifted away from accuracy and toward craft, toward hand finishing and the fingerprint of a named artisan. Precision became a solved problem nobody bragged about. Omega has just spent years and a small fortune betting the opposite way, that accuracy still means something and can still be sold. In a market fixated on beveled bridges that is either badly timed or quietly brilliant. Here is what I keep coming back to. Omega did not invent a more accurate watch. The escapement is not new. The physics have not changed. What changed is the instrument pointed at the watch, and who owns that instrument. For 50 years, one organization decided what Swiss precision meant. It now has a rival, built by the industry's most powerful brand, sitting inside the industry's most valuable group, and it has already collected more data than the incumbent gathered in half a century. Whether that is progress or a conflict of interest wearing a lab coat, the industry has not decided. It has simply started to move. For 50 years, Swiss precision was something you watched. Now, it is something you hear. So, where do you land on this? Is this the most important thing to happen to chronometry since 1973, or the most expensive way anyone has ever announced a dress watch? Drop it in the comments. If this video helped you understand Seiko better, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video. There's a lot more coming.